everyone. Welcome to Radiant Living, Inspiring Humanity to Thrive. I'm your host, Marisa B. And today I have with me certified nutritional gut health and mental wellness coach with 30 years experience as a holistic and energy practitioner. She's the founder of Lisa D'Alessandro Wellness. I'd like to welcome today Lisa D'Alessandro. Hi, Lisa. Thank you for coming today.
Well, Marissa, thank you for having me. This is a wonderful opportunity. I appreciate this.
Oh, you're quite welcome. I'm so interested to hear, first of all, how did you get started in this? Because you really are in the health and wellness field and you've been in it for over 30 years. So can you explain a little bit to the audience about how you actually started on this journey?
Absolutely. So, life is always throwing things at us, and it was the bitterness of a divorce, and I had two small children, and I knew I had to get out there and do something with my life. And someone said massage therapy. So I I never had a massage in my life. I just knew that's what I wanted to do. I've always was interested in nutrition and that holistic field, and it just implodes once you get into it because it's something that is so new to what we've never been, addressed growing up in this culture. So I went out, got myself a degree, opened up my practice, and you learn as you go. We all have issues growing up. I had a number of car accidents. I was a gymnast. I had cracked my sacrum during that time, so I had injuries with that. And I worked alongside a chiropractor who also did mineral hair testing analysis, and I was fortunate with that, just to see what was going on with heavy metals and different imbalances within me. So I kind of stayed on top of that and came into, I consider myself like the crunchy granola grandma, the grassroots, where blue green algae came about, and I'm like adding it to my kids' peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and doing all those things to keep my thyroid in balance because that was kind of off kilter. And as a massage therapist, I had broken one wrist when I was young and found out also I had osteopenia in my
Yeah.
late 20s.
Wow.
Uh, so, you do deal with that. I had issues with constipation as
Mm.
well, and I found herbal formulas to remedy that. But it wasn't until my fourth child was born, and that was in my early 40s. And I really had delved into, I didn't vaccinate my children. Everything was natural, no painkillers, natural birth,
Mm.
breastfed. Thought I was doing all the right things as we think we are.
Mm.
And at the age of one, he became this head-banging baby boy and brought him everywhere. Doctors couldn't find anything wrong, allergy tests, all of that. So I brought him to a naturopath, and she said gluten, wheat, soy, dairy, nuts, the whole gambit. And that was my aha moment to what they
Mm.
could never find wrong with me. So I had to go out. Being in New York State, we cannot get a lot of testing done. So I really went out side of the state, did some testing, and found out three out of the four of us were non-celiac gluten sensitive. So
Mm.
that's where I delved more into the nutritional. I'm a certified gluten practitioner, as well as a holistic health coach, and got certifications with that. And that kind of began to implode where I wanted to help other people with their autoimmune conditions, with the gut brain connection. And that 18 years ago, people didn't really know it like they know it
Mm.
today, with what's going on. And my practice just kind of went into more so that coaching. I did 12, it's probably 14 years now. I was also doing, um, because I had broken my wrist and my joints, my wrist joint was hurting. I also got into needleless red light therapy. So I did like
Okay.
needleless acupuncture, which was amazing for
Hmm.
healing and repair and helping that mitochondria restore energy. So
Oh, wow.
those are the facets where I continue.
Mhm.
I still do hair mineral analysis testing for food sensitivities, nutritional
Now you did
deficiency.
that for yourself, the what you mentioned, the what was it, acupuncture? You did it for yourself for your wrist, but then now you're a practitioner as well of that. So you
So
offer that as well to
I did
people.
have a brick and mortar up to 2 years ago. So I was
Mhm.
doing
Yes, yes.
this along with the coaching to help
Hmm.
people
Hmm.
because those,
Yes.
when I did a program and protocol for people, I would work with them week in, week out, doing
Right.
treatments and working with them with coaching. Uh, I had a sauna, I had all that, great stuff for detoxing, the foot
Right.
baths, all of that stuff that really just, help people with their healing journey.
Hmm. And
So
so now, and how, and well, that's a very real question. How is it now after the pandemic? I'm also in New York. I also had a center where people were there working, and I actually wasn't going to close. I don't know if I said this before on air, but I actually wasn't going to close. I had no intention to close because I did do online, and I knew I'm a therapist, and so I had clients online. But the building sold because people from New York City were scared and they wanted to run away. And so someone bought the building and bought the building rather quickly, and I had to go because they needed it for themselves. So that's kind of what happened to me. So, you had this practice, and um, you had all this equipment and everything, and then you had to close down for a certain amount of time. How are you finding it now? Are you slowly going back to this? Because I'm sure there's going to be audience members. Like I know I myself just heard of quite a few things that I would need to discuss with you off air, off camera. And I'm sure that there are audience members that are thinking the same thing. How is that all working now? Because somebody might want, first of all, I have to preface this by saying that when I first started the program, I had a doctor on that's she's in New York, and she spoke about the gut brain biome and how that all works. And I found it fascinating. And I think that that is a big issue, and that many of us, either we've heard of it, or some people haven't heard about it at all. Some people have heard it but they don't understand it. So how is it all working with clients, with you, one-on-one, in person? And what do you still offer everything that you did before? How is that all going?
right. So I kind of call myself a wellness concierge where I can go to people. I do have a
Hmm.
few places that I work holistically out of. But yes, during the pandemic, we all had to pivot. And that is where I found my connections with a few companies like the Mental Wellness Company for that offers simple holistic solutions for the gut brain axis. So I was able to do a lot of online coaching and working with people, offering those, when cortisol was going through the roof, when people had so
Hmm.
much anxiety about everything. And of course, that has so much to do with our guts, state of,
Hmm.
unfortunately, imbalance, where we have so many missing, you know, the microbiome and the good bacteria
Yes.
versus the bad bacteria. And we're missing so much of that serotonin, dopamine, GABA
Hmm.
because of the sad American diets that we
Hmm.
have and the information that's just wreaked havoc on that
Hmm.
good bacteria. So we have targeted bacteria now. Science has come a long way where we know that there's certain bacteria that will, support the colon,
Hmm.
support, women's health, and support, maybe more for an infection. But we also know that we have psychobiotics that will boost our serotonin, our
Hmm.
dopamine, the GABA, that calming hormone, neurotransmitter in our gut,
Hmm.
and that more messages are traveling north to the brain because, our brain is really our brain. Our gut is really where,
Yes.
most of the messaging emanates.
Hmm.
Our nervous
Hmm.
system is there, our immune system in there. All of that has to be really nourished and nurtured. And a lot of people feel like, okay, I'm doing a probiotic, I'm taking care of my gut health, but it's so much more than that, because so much of the heavy metals, the environmental toxins, and again, our poor American diet, which,
Yes.
we've been born into that matrix. We didn't know better. I grew up on uh, my mother not listening. Dinty Moore stew, Chef
Mhm.
Boyardee,
Yeah.
those TV metal dinners that we had. We used to have mercurochrome and
Mhm.
mercury fillings, and I used to climb apple trees, living in an
Mhm.
orchard, sprayed, and
All the sprayed, yes, yes. It is, I mean, on the other hand, my mother cooked, always cooked, and she always cooked a meal, and she was from Europe, and she always cooked a first plate and a second plate, and we've always had a lot of vegetables and beans, and my father was an advocate for that. But we were kids, and we went to schools, and my sister and I, and there were foods out there, and I have to say, as a therapist, having clients, that's what prompted me to get involved with the whole picture, because it's not just you have something you're dealing with and I can give you a bag of pills. That doesn't solve anything. And I'm not saying that there's no room for medication, traditional medication, but what I'm saying is that a lot of things, a lot of stress, additional stress, added stress, making you feel not well comes from what we eat. And especially when it's foods that you're pigeonholed into buying
yeah,
for
I'm
many people, for their children, right? They're pigeonholed into purchasing certain types of food because of the way economics are. And so it is a big problem. That it's a very big problem. And when the doctor came on, she was discussing the gut and brain connection and how important it is and really what's going on. Most people don't hear about that, right? I'm sure your clients that come to you that they don't even they never even heard of that before.
right. And what amazes me too is when I do the testing on them too, it's like, okay, they can finally see, why again, when our gut is leaking and there's so much dysbiosis of good bacteria versus bad bacteria, they can understand now how they have leaky guts. But so many then will say, well, how did I get those heavy metals? I don't understand. But we know now, babies are born with 200 plus, heavy metals that they can recognize. We're breathing it in. It's in, personal care products. It's in everything.
Yes.
Even organic stuff can be sprayed, maybe not with the glyphosate that's oil based, that's messing with our grains and are destroying our brains, but it's also
Yes.
in a lot of the processed foods,
Hmm.
unfortunately. You really can't get away from the contaminated water and where they're
Right.
you know
Right. And
treated.
the shelf life, right? The shelf life of many things. Um, these,
Preservatives.
I guess, right, these processes, I guess, were created initially to better preserve food, longer shelf life, the chemicals, the plastics, what they were using. So now we're stuck with really all these poisons.
Yes,
And
and
it's so hard, to try to grow your own food.
right.
It's very difficult.
It is we do have a shift. People aware, really aware of it now, and they have the gardens and
Yes.
places, the CSAs that you can become
Yes.
part of. So it's getting more, it's shifting. The shift is happening, but a lot of people don't understand how already we have all of these toxins in our body and they're
Yes.
entrapped within our tissues.
Hmm. Right.
So
Exactly.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's where I love to say, the more that we can align with God's medicine and, all that He's given us, for our holistic being, for our bodies,
Yes.
for our minds, just working on our breath, calming our
Hmm.
bodies, getting out in the sunshine during the morning to help our cortisol, resetting our circadian rhythm, and then, you know, more plant herbal medicines. And today, with advances in science, they synergistically can put some really helpful supplement and holistic tools out there, like, things to help you with detoxing,
Yes.
the saunas, and there's so many
Hmm.
tools available. And that's, even for ourselves today, we have, you know, amazing zeolites. I don't know if you've
Hmm.
ever heard of
Yes, yes,
zeolites.
I have. Yes, I have. In fact, yes,
And
I have. And I've heard about it 20 years ago when individuals were trying to use it to encapsulate tumors.
right, right. Well, today they have amazing ones out there also that are liquid. They're
Mhm.
activated, micronized. So all you do is have to take some drops, and it's just caging up those bad heavy metals in
Hmm.
your
Hmm.
bloodstream and taking them out without taking out the good electrolytes and minerals. And so there are a lot of different holistic tools that we can, use and help to, really kind of bring our body back to that healthy balance. And we know it becomes more balanced when it's able to heal itself a lot quicker and
Right,
better. So, yes, we're all going to be subject to the viruses and flus.
right.
It might not
Yes,
affect us bad. Where our bodies are more resilient. So the
right,
more that
exactly. A healthy body, right? A healthy body.
And it's
Yes.
really, it comes down to the gut. Unfortunately, we have to empower ourselves through our mindset, but nourishing it, with the right kind of foods and to really heal the gut. There are specific protocols too, so we can, clean out the bad bacteria and then, take down the inflammation. A lot of people don't understand even vitamin D. All they know it's good for their
Yes.
immune system, but do they realize that's also important for holding those tight junctions together in
Hmm.
their gut so they're not leaking so much as well? So
Hmm.
when you kind of can empower people more,
Hmm.
have them understand, and that's what I, really love and enjoying is just trying to help people,
Yes. Yes. Oh,
understand.
exactly. Right. Because that's the key, right? That having the information is the key to then attempting to do something differently. And you don't have to do it all at once,
Right,
because oftentimes I think people are fearful that they may have to do everything at one time. You don't have to do everything at one time, but it's all baby steps, micro steps, one thing at a time. Um,
Mhm.
because I think it's overwhelming for most people, especially from an economic standpoint. If they think they have to completely change what they're purchasing, many know that they need to get better quality food, but they don't know how to go about it from an economic standpoint. They certainly don't know how to raise everything themselves, grow everything themselves, or they don't have the time. Even if they did know, they don't have the time. Um, so yeah, the baby steps, I think, right? The micro steps. I mean, just finding out the information first should be important. And that's
Right.
where you come in, right? That's where they contact you, you're meeting with them. And of course you run tests. So you have some sort of diagnostic because I'm all for diagnostic. Western medicine tremendous um has made tremendous strides with diagnostic. There's nothing wrong with diagnostic tools to see what's going on.
Yes, yes, and using different ones. I mean,
Hmm.
blood tests are going to tell you what's only going on in your blood within a certain hour, but they're not really
Right.
telling you what's going on in the cells of the body.
Right, right.
That's where a lot of people are stuck sometimes with their doctors, so they're not getting clear, concise answers. So if we can
Hmm.
use an array of, GI mapping tests or, hair mineral tests, it can just help us connect the dots. We can have a baseline to see where you're at and then take those steps. But it is too, I love that I can offer people some simple holistic solutions so they can start to feel better, to do better, so then they can
Right.
make the really lifestyle choices, and make that, those little steps feel like leaps and bounds,
Yes.
from
Yes. Well,
where they
especially when
are.
they're feeling better, right? Because if you're starting by taking those micro steps and then you realize that those steps allow you to feel a bit better every day. And then, of course, then you can tackle the larger the larger issues at hand, because some of them are large. They are um, big steps to take. But I do have to say, even though they're big steps, you can see the difference. I can tell you myself, because we I had always had a small garden, and then I had neglected it for a long time because, life happens, you're working, I was raising my child, but we had gone back to it a few years back and doing it much larger and trying to permaculture the property and utilizing what we grow. You can see a difference. Like, you absolutely can. I'm not saying that I don't ever go to the supermarket. I'm not saying I don't ever buy things outside on the outside, but you can see that even incorporating those small items that I now grow on a regular basis. I also freeze some of them for the winter, some of the vegetables. And so I could see there's a different quality in them. And I feel like I'm doing something healthier for myself and my family by doing that. So there is a difference. And I know that the gut situation, I recently was reading an article, and it was an actual medical doctor that was discussing leaky gut with his patients, which was that's a that those are huge strides, right? That because oftentimes they didn't believe in it years ago.
Yeah, there's a lot. Yeah, I mean, I've learned by those doctors who have gone rogue and turned, turned themselves around and wanted to do more for your patients and stuff like that. So, yes, there are those who won't connect the dots even when working with people with autoimmune issues and stuff like that, when your immune system is already so hyper reactive
Yes.
and and leaking that, they'll poo-poo nutrition because
Hmm.
honestly, that's just not what they've been taught. So, what I can say to, anyone listening, if you're really feeling stuck or not getting anywhere, there are lots of functional medicine doctors out there.
Hmm.
Unfortunately, I think where we are now, we really do have to take a little bit more into our own hands
Oh,
and
yes.
responsibility to really, unfortunately, seek some support, because having that mentorship, it means so much. You have the accountability, you have someone who can really take down the overwhelm and really help, prioritize what type of steps you need to
Mhm.
take, and or what order, and keep it as simple as possible,
Right.
or
I mean, I'm a lay
one.
person. I'm a lay person, and yet I would think, and I, again, don't have anything, especially the diagnostic from Western medicine point of view. The diagnostics are top notch. I think you need diagnostics. I don't have anything against medical doctors, but I would think that I would want to have a healthy body and keep it healthy, maintain that healthiness rather than having something happen that now I'm a sick body and now we have to figure out how to change that, correct that. I would think that that's much more difficult to do.
Exactly. So
Right.
I'm always saying choosing wellness over illness, because it is
Yes.
so much easier, when we're feeling better, obviously, to
Yes,
take that.
right.
Even if you have a diagnosis, believe it, me and you out there, I mean, this is the time. It's just your body telling you, okay, it's time for a change, and you can do this, and it doesn't have to be, as scary as you would think, but it is time that maybe that you aligned with what has God has given us, because your body is not recognizing any kind of chemical that it's putting in there. And so, yes, medications are great. The medicine serves a purpose for the right time, but they're not meant to be long term. So
Right.
if you,
And how
you know,
many are on long term?
yes,
Long term that we know. I mean, anything you're putting in that's foreign is going to have side effects. Yeah,
absolutely.
especially if it's not natural from the earth. It's a created man-made laboratory product or specimen. It's going to have side effects. So we know that. So yes, they do serve a purpose, as you said, but how many of us are on things for so long that we really shouldn't be on, and what damage is it doing?
Right. Yeah, you're just tipping your body over more towards, going down that rabbit hole
Mhm.
of, we know you have one autoimmune condition. It's usually not one. It
Right.
usually
Yes.
starts to develop and, implode with, one after the other. So,
Mhm.
there are, again, natural solutions and,
Mhm.
medicinal mushrooms and different things that can help really bring your immune system up to that, that bring it down off of that hyperreactive immune response so that, you're not, you know, suppressing symptoms of allergies and food symptoms, food sensitivities and allergies and
Right. Right. They're all
really
going on under the
anxiety.
surface. Right. You're masking everything, right? You're taking things and you're really masking it all, and it's all under the surface, but it's still there. And of course, still doing damage.
Right,
And then we find out that what you're using to mask it also may be causing damage of other things, right? So it's like a vicious cycle. And
right.
now, as a wellness practitioner, a wellness coach, do you think that people can correct a lot of the problems? Do you think that they can reverse a lot of the things that have happened to them?
Absolutely, absolutely. It's just how much, it's everybody's why, and I have a lot of mothers and midlife women coming to me, and especially now during, we spend so much of our time living in the pause of peri to
Yes.
menopause.
Hmm.
And I can't say this enough when, that estrogen drops, our inflammation goes up, and we're putting ourselves more vulnerable to the brain fog, that mental dementia that I had suffered with too, not knowing as well. Because, I mean, after hitting my, having my fourth child in my 40s, and I thought I was going down Dementia Boulevard during that time. It was scary. And, knowing about the gut brain connection and stuff, it came together. But what I had to do more so, taking care of those other hormones because our cortisol, our stress hormone,
Hmm.
takes precedence over our sex hormones and metabolic hormones. So, and again, you can't have healthy hormone balance without having good gut balance as well. Those two kind of are simultaneous. So once everybody starts to work on their gut and
Hmm.
nourishing it a little bit more, giving it what your body needs. When you're giving your body what it needs,
Hmm.
amazing things happen as we begin to heal and seal a leaky gut. Those symptoms, suddenly disappear, they're gone. So you can reverse a lot. It does depend on people's lifestyles. So, it is working, hormones. It's also okay, let's clean up our medicine cabinets, what personal care products, what we're putting on
Yes.
our body is just as important as what we're putting in our body. So the more that
Hmm.
we're getting rid of those endocrine disruptors, those toxins from, again, we're women, we like to look good, do what we
Yes.
can, but the more, again, that we're not constantly bombarding our bodies so much with a lot of those root cause issues of heavy metals,
Mhm.
toxins, and all of that. When we start, eliminating those constant bombardments and live more in balance, yes, we can really crush it. We can,
Yes.
take
So we
back
can see
our
a difference. We can, right, we can see a difference. We can, as you said, take back our health. We can, in fact, reverse things.
right. And today I would say so many are, feeling zapped from energy. They're not
Yes.
sleeping, all of that. So it's just teaching these micro habits
Mm.
to, consistently work on to get people, cleaning out, gentle detoxing, like I said, is to me where, I feel like we have to fix the cells to get well. We have to work on those pillars of gut health, mindset is important. That's the first thing I will tell anybody when they're working with me. I need you to, okay, get into that wellness state of mind where, okay, when we're in a state of ill health, we're always worried, we're concerned, and that's what we're thinking about. Instead of saying, okay, all right, I'm healing. I am feeling better. I am. So if we get talking to our bodies the right kind of way and really boosting that cell's communication from every holistic angle, we're getting into that proper mindset for healing and repair. So sometimes ignorance is bliss
Mhm.
when we don't know something, that we don't worry so much about it and we aren't fear driven, but we're more open-minded and able to, just get on that happy train, those, happy, loving frequencies and,
Right.
communication to ourselves, what we're telling ourselves, what we believe in, and just having that belief system, you know, leveling that up as well,
Now, are
as
you
we go.
working with groups? Do you work with groups? Are you doing classes? I mean, because we had just brushed the surface there where we mentioned, the pandemic being in both in New York and now having to pivot. And so, are you working online with clients one on one? Do you see them in person? I know you said you go to a number of facilities that you can see people. Because I'm sure that testing and things like that have to be done in person. But are you doing groups or classes, or how are you working online that way?
Right. So I do work online. I do work with one-on-one is mostly how I work with people. I am in the midst of putting together a course, an ebook, to help people. I did have a Facebook group that I bring people into. So we were doing a 3-day gut reboot, that we're all there together, and work with people group wise that way. So I don't really have any. Once in a while, I'll do like a group program. I'll run a course
Mhm.
for a group program. So I'm thinking about putting that together
Mhm.
in a course available for digital. So people have something to go by, that they
Right,
more
right.
affordability towards it, and that's what
Mhm.
you know where I want them to be. So I do have the Facebook groups, and I still do, some of those testing where I can do it.
Mhm.
They can send me their own hair, it's DNA analysis, so they can
Right,
send me
right.
their, so I can work with anybody, anywhere. And
Mhm.
it just depends
Well,
on everybody's.
yeah, the reason I ask, and I ask personally, because especially with the Facebook group, and I will list everything in the description, all of your contact information, because as a matter of fact, I had gone somewhere to a conference and I met someone and we were chatting. It was in Canada. We were chatting and so forth. And so I got involved. She was doing like a 9-day liver cleanse. So I had met her first. I knew what she was doing. When I came back from Canada, she had started this 9-day liver cleanse a couple of months later, and I joined it and was using a lot of the recipes that she was showing. But having known her and had some of the recipes while I was away, because I happened to have gotten sick while I was away, and she was making me these smoothies and so forth. So doing the 9-day liver cleanse and then using a lot of those recipes that I still use today,
Sure.
I was happy to find a program like that. And so when you said that you did like the 3-day challenge, and that's like within your Facebook group, I'm sure that there are a lot of listeners that want to know, how could they test that out? How could they try that? Because I would think that that's like a great thing to start. Like, how do I start like cleaning myself up first, right? To move forward.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. So it's just, contacting me.
Mhm.
Most people start off with either doing a 3-day gut reboot, and then
Right.
they realize it wasn't so hard. Anybody can do everything for 3 days. Because I used to do the
Yes.
21-day
Right,
cleanses with,
right. Yeah.
um, but now again, with advanced science, I have the cleanest zeolite on the planet that really
Mhm.
helps clean up our
Mhm.
cells really well. So that's something that's
Mhm.
super helpful, and it's not that we have to go through major liver because listen,
Yes.
I've done it all too. Like I said, I was the one out there knowing that I had heavy metals. I was doing coffee enemas. I was
Mm-hmm.
doing the liver
Yes.
gallbladder flushes.
Hmm.
And we've come a long ways since then.
Right, right.
Give us because yeah, life is full on. We're busy, so that's why I do, like to offer people some simple holistic solutions, and keep them within my Facebook groups and
Right.
stuff like that, where we can nurture them in there, and I can help them along the way, and work,
And I'm assuming you do the
toward
3 day. Like if you do the 3 day, or I'm just thinking myself, do the 3 day and you say, you know what? I think I got to send my hair in. Like because you start to think, right? You're testing it out. You may feel a little bit better or you notice a difference. And then you say, I might have to send my hair in, or I might have to make an appointment to have some testing done to see what's going on, further trying to make myself feel well, trying to get back to that state of wellness, right?
right.
Because it is a state of wellness. And so, yes, even though everything goes hand in hand, the mind shift and, the actual things that you have to do, but I think that you do need some of those testing points too. Because I think you would be curious to see what's happening.
We most people start off with the hair, analysis because it does give me it not only food sensitivities
Hmm.
that your immune system's reacting to and the nutritional deficiencies, but it will give me if there is missing biome bacteria or hormonal, missing pieces or digestive enzymes that are missing. So it can show, those can show up there as well. And it just helps me connect the dots and give somebody, a baseline and a visual,
Hmm.
So I really like that test because it's not expensive. A lot of the
Right.
testing out there, you can go
Yeah.
into, GI mapping tests and
Yes.
have a lot of these other tests that are
Hmm.
$900 plus just for the test
Yes.
alone. And then they're getting the laundry list of like 100 things that their body is sensitive to. So
Yes.
I don't use that one. I
Hmm.
really, tend to stay away from that and, make it reasonable for everybody. So, they can just get a real grip to where to begin. And to me, it's, happy gut, happy life. So just getting to that
And
point.
where's the best place to get a hold of you? Website or social media? What's the
Right.
easiest for someone?
For someone, you can go to lisadalessandrawellness.com is my
Mhm.
website.
Mhm.
I'm working on that one and easy enough. I'm on Facebook, or they, contact me and text me by phone, email, Lisa D Wellness at Gmail.
Mhm.
Uh, those are great ways to start reaching out. And, and again, I do
Yes.
offer our free consults as well.
Mhm.
So I usually start off with, let's chat.
Yeah, oh,
Let me,
that's nice to know. Yes. Yeah.
see where you're at. And if it sounds like, I can meet you where you need and, take it from there if you sound like a good fit. But it's today, we really do need to just understand that, it's something that we have to invest in ourselves. It's
Mhm.
just a little bit more deeper self-love. And I know for women it's hard because we have kids, family, we're always thinking about somebody else. But I'm always telling mamas, you got to put on your oxygen mask first because once you start
Oh,
doing that, you're really going to be able to help your children and
mhm.
everybody else around you. It's that ripple effect. It's like, wow, my
Oh, I mean, I
came
agree.
organic.
I agree. I agree. Especially since I'm going through, I used to doing a lot of things. I'm a doer, not a beer, and I was having a number of issues recently, and I'm thinking, how am I going to get all this done? And how, I am still a wife, a mother, and I'm thinking, how is this going to happen? And then forcing myself, will it do more damage? And so there are all these things, and it's very, I am. a believer, as you said, that yes, I have to take care of myself first so that then I can go forward to take care of everyone else. Because if I'm falling apart, how could there's no way I could do it. And if I
Right.
continue to fall apart, it's only going to get worse. So I'm really a believer in that you have to see exactly what's going on to keep yourself in a state of wellness. I wholeheartedly believe that.
Yes. Yeah. No, you're absolutely correct. And so that's what it is. Just about, just nourishing the harmony. Everything is about, wellness is what's going on, begins with what's going on within. So the more that we can, shift the inner pollutions, the
Mhm.
inner damage, and I can tell you it has so much to do with your mental well-being as well. And I think, I see
Oh, I
women,
agree.
they're out there, they're midlife, hitting the gyms, they're already stressed, they're already doing this, and they're going out and they're full blown into the gyms and, got to hit the circuits and stuff like that. And I'm like, you're just messing with your adrenals a little bit more, that's just another stress response that you're giving the
Right.
body. So let's start off with, just increasing your steps a little bit more. And so it don't, for anybody listening, it's like, okay, I got to do better and just diving in. So, it can be a lot simpler and easier, just following some, simple holistic solutions and,
And that's what I
to
always
get
say. Micro steps. Micro steps.
right,
That's how I look at it. And then they're
right.
like building blocks. You build upon them. You don't have to do everything at one time.
No, no. Otherwise, yeah, you're setting yourself up for,
Well, yes. Yeah, you're
inevitably,
setting yourself up to inevitably stop it, right? And it really is a way of life. It's a complete way of living healthy. I mean, it should go hand in hand, wellness and keeping yourself at optimal health. And we all know that nobody lives forever. There is not that yet. I mean, no, we haven't heard anywhere where they have that happening yet. But we want to live well while we're living.
absolutely.
It would be horrific to be sick every single day of your life from such a young age until the time that you dance in the star with the stars. I mean, you might as well live healthy and live well and optimal while you can, because it must be terrible to be ill all the time every day. And how many do we hear that say, "Oh, I just feel terrible. Oh, I feel terrible today. I feel sick. I don't feel well." That goes on all the time. We hear it so much more nowadays than we ever heard before.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it's sad, and we can all embrace, aging more gracefully, and living, younger, healthier, longer. But it is just you know, to stepping out, I think everybody's waiting for answers from, you know, the doctors. We have to get out of that quick fix mentality. We really do. Um, you know,
And they never
can
know. I mean, I love them dearly. Don't get me wrong. Western medicine is fine. I love them dearly. I understand they've gone to medical school, but it is an art. It is an art. It's a process of elimination. And they don't have all the answers. And oftentimes I've gone to the doctor I want the answer. That's the kind of person I'm like, I want the definitive answer. It's just probably an annoyance for a lot of people, but I want the answer. So when I'm going to you as a professional, and this is supposed to be your forte, and I ask you the question, like I want you to have the answer because I don't have it. I want to hear it from you. And when mostly what I hear is, well, we don't know. We're not sure. There's a lot of school of thought. There's a number of possibilities. That makes me insane. That makes me absolutely insane. It's just a personal pet peeve because I really want to know. I want to get to the bottom of something. I want to know the answer. And oftentimes, that though I love them dearly, that's what they answer you because they just don't know. So
or
if
they
I
don't have
can
a
live
code for that
healthily,
though.
yeah, no, they don't, right? And if I could live healthily, and I mean, there's medications, and they, you know, presume that from testing, and we can get into all that issue with pharmaceuticals and testing and all, but and they're assuming that in the majority of people we've shown that this works and all, but they really don't know why it's occurring, why why it's happening, why you got this, why you as opposed to someone else. Like, I like to know all those answers. So I would personally want to be living well and healthy, so I don't have to get to that point where now I'm in the situation where it's like, well, but I want the answer and they don't have it. And
So,
and so I would prefer to avoid that personally. So, that's how
so
I look at things. And I would think that it's a healthier way of living, because you really then are truly living, because you do feel healthy. And I know even from my clients, a lot of times I hear they're exhausted or they're in a fog. Um, they don't know what's wrong with themselves. They can't get out of bed. They're dragging themselves. So they know they have obligations, but they're dragging themselves, and they're there, but they're not there. So there's a lot of that goes on. And I hear it quite often.
absolutely.
So, yeah.
So what I can tell you that I believe that I know to be true is inflammation drives disease. And that inflammation, again, is coming from environmental toxins,
Hmm.
heavy metals, just those inner pollutions, and
Hmm.
even stress drives our cortisol.
Yeah.
It lights up our insulin and it
Yes.
drives, the more of the wildfire within. So it really is, inflammation at the root of our issues. And if we can
Hmm.
downgrade and put out more of those fires within, using specific foods, using,
Hmm.
specific, zeolites and different things like that, that can really, draw out the inflammation, the
Hmm.
more that, you'll be able to feel better and gain that energy back and sleep better. And so it's all of that that is so critical. Um,
Yes.
and you doctors have, the immune response. That's an inflammatory response. So it's, yeah,
Yes,
immune
exactly.
system not shutting down. So how do we shut that down? We
Hmm.
heal and seal the gut a little bit better to
Hmm.
put out the fire, because then you don't have more of the inflammation going through that lining out into the immune system on the other side, giving that, immune response. And
Right.
that's where we
Yeah,
get
having
food.
it work. Yeah. Having it
That's where
work
we
hard,
why we
right?
have so many allergies and food sensitivities, is because, we're ingesting, foods, and the, those particles, those proteins are going out into the bloodstream, and we've got our immune system that's a little confused and on fire, where it's dropping inflammation throughout systemically. And again, when we can heal and seal that gut a little bit better, and doing more things to nurture that gut lining and microbiome, building up that good bacteria, we can really make a huge difference in how we feel.
Well, I do want to thank you so much for coming on today. I find this a fascinating topic, because it's it's so important to all of us, so that we can live healthy and vital lives. And anything that will help all of us thrive, I'm all for. So I do thank you for taking the time to come on and speak about this today. I so appreciate it.
And I appreciate you. Thank you, Marissa, for having me
Oh,
here as a guest. And I do appreciate all that you are doing to help for Radiant Living. I mean, this is what it's, yeah,
right, right.
all
That's
about.
all what it's about for all of us, right? We all have a right to it. Yes.
Yes.
Thank
So
you, Lisa.
I want everyone be well, be happy, and just stay awesome. Thank you.
You too. Thank you so much. Take care.
All right. Bye bye now.